Your teacher lied to you. Your parents probably lied to you too, not because they were bad people and because they believed it themselves. The lie is this: go to school, get good grades, get a safe job, save money, and you'll be fine. That's not a financial plan. That's a trap. And I'll prove it to you right now. The average American with a college degree is carrying over $37,000 in student loan debt. They're working 40 hours a week for an employer who could fire them tomorrow. They've got a 401k they barely understand, managed by a financial advisor who gets paid whether the account goes up or down, and they're told to wait until they're 65 to enjoy the money they spent 40 years earning. Does that sound like freedom to you? I didn't think so. Here's the truth. Nobody in the classroom ever said out loud. The school system was not designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you employable. There is a massive difference between those two things. One makes money for you, the other makes money for someone else. And until you understand that difference, deep in your bones, you will keep working hard and wondering why you're still broke. So let's talk about it. I was 37 years old, sitting in a small apartment in Hawaii, and I had almost nothing. My first major business had collapsed. My nylon wallet business, the one I built from scratch, had gone under. I had debt, real debt, not the kind you brag about at dinner parties as a learning experience, the kind that wakes you up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding. My wife Kim and I were sleeping on a friend's floor for a while. I'm not exaggerating. We literally had no place to live. Now here's the thing. I had two father figures in my life. My real father, my poor dad, was one of the most educated men I've ever known. PhD, head of education for the state of Hawaii. Brilliant, hardworking, dedicated, and he died broke. My rich dad was my best friend, Mike's father. He never finished 8th grade. He built one of the largest business empires in Hawaii. He died a very wealthy man. When I was sitting on that apartment floor with nothing, I called Rich Dad and I told him what happened. I expected sympathy, maybe advice about getting a new job, dusting myself off, being more careful next time. Instead, he said, good, now you're getting educated. I said, what do you mean? I lost everything. He said, Robert, your poor dad lost something once and spent the rest of his life playing it safe. You just learned something your poor dad never learned. You learned what doesn't work. Most people are so afraid to lose that they never find out what works. That conversation changed my life, not because it made me feel better. It made me angry, but it also made me think. My poor dad's advice had always been the same. Get a good education, get a good job, work hard, be loyal, save money. That was his formula, and he followed it perfectly. He got the education, he got the prestigious job, he worked incredibly hard, he was loyal to his employer, to his pension, to the system, and it worked. Sort of, he had a career, he had a house, he had a title, but he never had financial freedom. My rich dad had a completely different formula. He didn't say get a job, he said build a system. He didn't say save money, he said acquire assets. He didn't say work hard for money, he said make money work hard for you. Those are not similar ideas. They are opposite ideas. And the gap between them is a gap between spending your life working for a paycheck and spending your life earning while you sleep. Sitting on that apartment floor at 37, I chose Rich Dad's way for real, not just in theory. And within a few years, Kim and I had built enough passive income that we never had to work for a paycheck again. That's what's possible when you stop believing the lie. So almost nobody taught this. Think about it. 13 years of school, maybe another 4 or more in college. That's potentially 17 years of formal education. And in all that time, did anyone sit you down and explain the difference between an asset and a liability? Did anyone teach you how compound interest works against you in debt, not just for you in savings? Did anyone explain what a cash flow statement is, or why the rich look at money completely differently than the middle class? Now, you learned algebra, you learned the causes of World War I, you learned how to dissect a frog. I'm not saying those things have no value. I'm saying that if the goal was to prepare you for financial life, the curriculum failed you completely, and it's not an accident. The school system was designed during the industrial age. Factory owners needed reliable workers, not owners, not investors, workers, people who showed up on time, followed instructions, and valued the security of a steady paycheck over the risk of owning something. Schools were designed to produce exactly that, and they still are. So what do most people do? They follow the program. They get the degree, they get the job, they get the mortgage, which they think is an asset because their bank told them their home is their biggest investment. They put money in a 401k and cross their fingers for 30 years. They save what they can in a savings account, earning 0.5%, while inflation runs at 3, 4, 5%. They work harder when they want more money instead of building something that earns without them, and then they wonder why they feel stuck. Here's what the rich actually do. The rich don't trade time for money. The rich build and buy assets that generate cash flow. The rich use debt as a tool, not a burden. The rich understand the tax code and use it legally to keep more of what they earn. The rich invest in financial education as aggressively as the middle class invests in job skills. The middle class has been told that the path to wealth is a good salary. The rich know the path to wealth is a growing spread between your passive income and your expenses. That's the gap nobody teaches you to build. My rich dad drew something on a piece of paper for me when I was about 9 years old. 2 columns. One said income, one said expenses. Then he drew boxes below on the left, assets, on the right, liabilities. He said, Robert, most people spend their whole lives in this loop. They earn income from a job. The income flows immediately to their expenses. They never build the asset column. And because they never build the asset column, they never build passive income, they are one paycheck away from disaster their entire lives. Then he pointed to the other side and said, the rich build assets first. Assets generate income. That income covers expenses. The richer you get, the more your assets produce and the less your job matters. That simple drawing is more valuable than anything I was ever taught in school. Let me break this down for you because I know some of you are sitting there thinking, okay, Robert, what does that actually mean for me right now? An asset, in Rich Dad's definition, is anything that puts money in your pocket, whether you work or not, a rental property that generates monthly cash flow, a business that runs without you, a stock position that pays dividends, a royalty from intellectual property. These are assets. They work while you sleep. A liability, in Rich Dad's definition, is anything that takes money out of your pocket. Your car payment, your mortgage, in most cases, your credit card balance, your student loan. These take money from your pocket every single month. Here's the lie your bank and your school told you. They told you your house is an asset. Let me ask you something. Does your house put money in your pocket every month? Or does it take money out? Mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, maintenance? If your house is taking money from your pocket every month, by Rich Dad's definition, it is a liability. It may be worth something one day, but right now, today, it is not generating cash flow. It is consuming it. The middle class spends its life accumulating liabilities it believes are assets, and then at 60, it wonders why it isn't wealthy. Now let's talk about something my rich dad called the cash flow quadrant. He divided all people into 4 groups based on where their income comes from. E is for employee. You trade time for a paycheck from someone else's system. Your income is capped by your hours and your employer's willingness to pay you. S is for self-employed. You own your job, you work harder, and you keep more. But if you stop working, the income stops. The dentist who has a practice but still works 50 hours a week is in the S quadrant. B is for business owner. You own a system that works without you. You don't have a job. You have people and processes that generate income, whether you show up or not. I is for investor. Your money works for you. You deploy capital into assets, and those assets generate returns. The school system trains you to be an E or an S. It never mentions the B or the I. And here's the brutal truth. Most of the tax advantages in this country, most of the legal ways to build and keep wealth exist in the B and I quadrants. The tax code was written by and for business owners and investors, not employees. When I was working a job, I paid taxes before I paid my expenses. My employer withheld taxes from every check before I saw a dollar. That's how employees pay taxes. When I run a business, I earn money, pay my business expenses, and pay tax on what's left. That's how business owners pay taxes. One pays tax on every dollar earned. The other pays tax after expenses. The difference over a career is staggering. This isn't a loophole. It's built into the tax code. because the people who wrote the tax code were business owners and investors. They built it to reward what they do. Rich Dad always said, the rich understand the rules of the game. The poor and middle class are playing a game where they don't even know the rules exist. And you cannot win a game you don't know you're playing. So what do you actually do about this? Let me give you the 3 steps I believe will change your financial direction, the same principles that changed mine. Step 1, stop trying to get a raise and start building your asset column. I know what some of you are thinking right now. Robert, I need more income. I'm barely getting by. I understand that. I've been there, but here's the thing. Most people, when they get more income, accumulate more liabilities. They get a raise and they get a nicer car. They get a bonus and they go on vacation. The income goes up, but so do the expenses. The asset column stays empty. What Rich Dad told me to do, even when I had almost nothing, was to find one asset, start small, a small rental property, a side business that earns without me, a dividend-paying investment, anything that generates cash flow without my direct time. Even $200 a month in passive income as a beginning. It is proof of concept. It is the seed. Most people never plant the seed because they're waiting to have enough money to plant something impressive. You don't need impressive, you need started. Rich people are not smarter than you. They started sooner, and they started with what they had. The one-liner for this step. Your income pays your bills, but your assets will one day make you free. Step 2, use debt intelligently or stop using it at all. Most people have only ever seen debt used one way. Bad debt. Borrowing money to buy things that lose value. Car loans, credit card balances, furniture and payment plans. This kind of debt makes you poorer every single month. Rich Dad taught me there's another kind of debt. A good debt. Debt that someone else pays off while the asset appreciates and generates cash flow. When I buy a rental property with a mortgage and a tenant's rent covers that mortgage plus expenses, plus cash flow to me, who's paying that debt? The tenant is. I use the bank's money to buy an asset that someone else is paying off while I collect the difference. That's OPM, other people's money. The rich have been using it forever. Banks use it. Real estate investors use it. Business owners use it. The middle class was told debt is always bad. The rich know debt is a tool. Like any tool, it can build something or it can hurt you. The difference is in how you use it. Learn the difference between debt that costs you and debt that pays you. Build the second kind, eliminate the first kind. The one-liner, bad debt makes banks rich, good debt makes you rich. Step 3, invest in financial education before you invest in anything else. This might be the most important step and most ignored. Most people spend thousands of hours and dollars getting educated for a career that makes someone else wealthy. They spend almost nothing getting educated in how money actually works. When I was broke at 37, I didn't go take a class in marketing. I went deep on financial education. I read everything I could find. I found mentors. I made small investments and learned from every one of them. The wins and the losses. I stopped watching television at night and started reading balance sheets. Rich Dad said, the most expensive thing in the world is ignorance. He wasn't being harsh. He was being accurate. Every financial mistake you make because you didn't understand taxes, debt, cash flow, or valuation cost you real money. The education to avoid that mistake costs a fraction of the mistake itself. Invest in your financial IQ. Find people who are doing what you want to do. Ask questions. Make small moves and learn from them. Your financial education is the one asset that no market crash, no inflation, and no employer can ever take away from you. The one-liner, your financial IQ is your most important asset, and your school never helped you build it. Let me challenge something you may have believed your entire adult life. You've been told to work hard. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you work very hard, and I respect that. But let me ask you something. How many hardworking people do you know who are financially free? I mean, truly free, not just comfortable, free, where they could stop working tomorrow and their income would continue. Most hardworking people I know are one layoff away from crisis. Working hard is necessary, but working hard alone will not make you wealthy. If hard work made people rich, every nurse, every teacher, every construction worker, every person working double shifts would be a millionaire. They're not, because the economy doesn't reward effort. It rewards value creation and asset ownership. You've been told to save money, and I'm not telling you to be reckless with spending. But here's the problem with the save money strategy as the primary financial plan. The dollar in your savings account is worth less every year. Inflation is not hypothetical. It is a real and ongoing tax on cash. When inflation runs at 4% and your savings account pays 0.5%, you are losing purchasing power every single day. You let that money sit there. The rich don't save money as a strategy. The rich deploy money into assets. There is a difference between hoarding dollars and building wealth. You've been told job security is valuable. My poor dad believed this with everything he had. He worked for a pension. He was loyal to his employer. He thought his job was safe. There is no such thing as job security. There is only skill security and asset security. Your employer can eliminate your position tomorrow. They can outsource it. They can automate it. They can restructure the company, and your role disappears. The only real security in the modern economy is having assets that generate income independent of any employer's decision. I know this is uncomfortable. I know some of you are saying, Robert, that's easy for you to say. And I hear that. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Poor dad was comfortable. Poor dad had a salary and a title and a retirement plan that ultimately disappointed him. Rich dad was uncomfortable constantly. He took risks. He failed. He adapted. He built things. And he died with the financial freedom to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted, with whoever he wanted. Which version of that story do you want for yourself? That's not a rhetorical question. The answer determines everything. I need to tell you something now, and I need you to really hear it. The window to build wealth is not forever open. The middle class in America is shrinking. That's not an opinion. It's a documented economic trend. The gap between those who own assets and those who don't is wider today than it has been at any point in most of our lifetimes, and it is growing. Inflation has eroded the purchasing power of wages for decades. A salary that felt comfortable in 2010 doesn't feel comfortable today, and the purchasing power of that salary will continue to decline unless the income behind it grows faster than inflation. Most salaries don't. Artificial intelligence is not coming for jobs. It is already taking them. Not just blue-collar jobs, white-collar jobs, paralegal work, accounting tasks, portions of medical diagnosis writing, coding, customer service. The jobs that felt secure because they required education and skill are being disrupted at a pace that is accelerating every year. The people who will thrive in that environment are not the ones with the most impressive job titles. They're the ones who own things, assets, systems, businesses, intellectual property. And here's something that makes me genuinely angry on behalf of every young person watching this video. The same generation that is being told to go $50,000 or $100,000 or $150,000 into debt for a college degree is entering a job market where that degree's value is being compressed while the debt attached to it is permanent. They follow the program exactly as designed, and the program is failing them. I'm not saying don't get educated. I'm saying understand what your education is buying you. If it's buying you a career in a field you love with real growth potential, fine. But if it's buying you a credential that your employer barely looks at, attached to debt that will take decades to repay, you were sold something that didn't deliver what it promised. The time to start building your financial intelligence and your asset column is not when you're comfortable. It's right now, when the economy is making it clear that the old rules no longer apply. The people who will look back on this moment in 10 years and feel good about their choices are the ones who started building something today. Here's what I want you to take from today. The school system taught you how to be an employee. It never taught you how to be free. That's not your fault. But staying in that mindset after you now know better, that part is on you. The rich build assets, the poor middle class collect liabilities. That single distinction, deeply understood and acted on, changes everything. You don't need a lot of money to start. You need a decision. You need to decide that your financial education matters, that your asset column matters, that your freedom matters more than the comfort of staying with what you know. Here's the one thing I want you to do today, not next week, today. Sit down and write 2 columns on a piece of paper. On the left, write every asset you own, everything that puts money in your pocket without your time. On the right, write every liability, everything that takes money out. Be honest. Don't let the bank's definition fool you. Use Rich Dad's definition. Most people who do this exercise for the first time are shocked by what they see. But shock is good. Shock means you're waking up. As Rich Dad always told me, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. That's the real financial education. If this video changed how you think about money, even slightly, watch this next video right here, because what we talk about there goes even deeper. And that one might be the conversation that actually changes your life. Let's get to work.